Hi everyone, I'm going to be speaking today with Dr. Dustin Weissman and Boonie Sripom about trends that they've seen with COVID and dating and screen time use. It should be a really interesting discussion. Don't forget to subscribe to Bet Me a Date for more videos on dating challenges that can be really difficult to overcome. Welcome everybody. Today I'm going to be speaking with Dr. Dustin Weissman and Boonie Sripom about anecdotal trends that they see, any trends that they see with COVID and screen time and things that they think are coming. So Dr. Weissman, if you want to start, can you tell us a little bit about what you've been seeing, what you've been hearing about from other clinicians in terms of trends with screen time during COVID?
A lot of people, especially clinicians, like to say Zoom fatigue is real. And I'm seeing a lot of that with my patients, as well as hearing from colleagues that people are getting zoomed out. So the fact that you're watching this must mean that, maybe you're listening to it. But it's a lot. And I think it's been taxing on people, especially adolescents. They just don't want to be staring at a screen anymore. Kids as well, and adults, like everybody. They're just too much screen time, not enough in-person, face-to-face time. I don't know if that's necessarily altered screen time behaviors. I think the Zoom fatigue is more coming from the face-to-face interactions through Zoom or Skype or whatever it might be. Whereas, especially with adolescents or gamers or people on social media a lot, they'll just transition to the other screen. So it's not necessarily, I can't take any more screen time today. No, I can't take any more Zoom today. I'm going to go downtime to my other screen activity. It's not on my computer, now I'm on my phone. So it's a difference. So I think we're seeing a lot of that, and I think it's affecting a lot of people's mental health. We're seeing that the trends across the nation with increases in depression, increases in anxiety, and increases in suicidality. Probably decrease in homicidality, so that's probably a plus because we're not around people as much. So, but the problem is people are taking it out on themselves. So it's good that we're talking about that today.
Yeah. And I definitely, it's such an important issue. Stick around for more information from Dr. Dustin Weissman and Boonie Sripom on how they help their clients overcome issues with screen addiction, video game addiction, and helping them to date better. Boonie, what do you see happening in your practice and when you speak with other coaches? What do you see or hear happening?
I work a lot with parents and autistic gamers. I noticed it's like a split, 50-50, where the kids are gaming more or they're just done with the gaming. They've satiated their sensation seeking with the games because it's readily available all the time. There's nothing else to do. And so they got to kind of it's like their Disneyland. They got to play so much that, you know what, I want to find something else to do. I also noticed that a lot of the parents, since a lot of them are doing homeschooling for health reasons, for different reasons, it's difficult to just monitor all the time. Like, if you think that before COVID, that monitoring games and screen time was difficult, it's just more difficult now because you have to feel like, what am I supposed to offer for my child when I can't take them to all these spaces that would have entertained or educated them beforehand? They can't go out with their friends. They can't go to the park all the time. It's not readily accessible. So now there's this additional layer, like you said, a little bit of a hopelessness that I notice.
And I think also, like, for parents, right, it's like, I'm trying to get work done too, or I'm expected to get work done too.
Right.
And so I need to do something with you that.
Right. So there's like this extra burden and guilt that I see with parents, which is so unfair. I know parents are doing what they can, but it's the part of being a parent. You want to do what's best for a child, but you just your hands are tied. You have limited access to so many things. It's just very frustrating to watch it happen.
You both touched on this already, but how do you think it is affecting socialization and dating? And how do you think, trend-wise, it might affect or continue to affect socialization and dating?
I think with the dating world, it's definitely, I think people have been drawn to and now pushed away from online dating apps. Maybe it was more of a pull too, and now people are just kind of over it because they don't want to do that anymore. But even looking at the population of, we might be 50-50 split amongst the whole population of who's following guidelines of, distancing and mask wearing, that a lot of people aren't and a lot of people are. So, right off the bat, you're having, if you want to take a look at a bigger picture of previously successful relationships, now the burden of, this and political beliefs on top of that with the recent election, that there's been a lot of stress within relationships. So I think we've had a lot of relationships fall apart. We've had a lot of relationships come closer together during this time. Perhaps people that were starting dating, quarantining together and finding that this is going to work and pushing for marriage. I think the more likely scenario that's been happening is people realizing this is not the right fit and we need time apart when this is good and done. And then in terms of relationships, just interacting one-on-one with people, it's been difficult because it's hard to get out in person. And there's that itch that people want to scratch. It's really hard to scratch safely.
Yeah.
And people have been doing it anyway. And then every time you scratch it, it's like, it gets a little worse for some people. Like, oh, I did it, but now that person's got exposure. I need to quarantine for this amount of time. I can't see him again for a month.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so tricky. What do you think, Boonie? What do you see happening socialization-wise, dating-wise with your clients? And what do you predict might happen in the future after we're out of this pandemic?
Well, as an observation in general, not with my clients, I see a lot of people going into existential types of contemplation. When everything is kind of stripped away, you're left with yourself and your thoughts. You're not busy consuming, you're not busy numbing with a lot of things. We're just here as we are. And so I'm assuming a lot of people also, a lot of the parents that I've worked with, they have, we've had conversations where they've gotten to this point where I'm going to do what makes me happy. And that's wonderful to hear. A lot of people who do have the resources, I know not everyone does, but those who do, not struggling to a certain degree, they have been able to kind of disregard all the layers of socialization that have shaped them to a certain way where they can finally see who they are and what matters most. And that is about connection. They're valuing relationships even more because the inability to reach people has made them realize how important certain people actually are. Fulfilling your life dream. A lot of people are quitting the jobs or, what, I didn't like that job anyways. So a lot of people are like, what really does make me happy? I'm going to pursue my dream. So I'm actually coaching some people with my personality type to pursue their dreams because, the former way was not working for them. They were doing it because they needed a job. Let's move away from need to want. And so the conversation and language does change with what I see.
Excellent, thank you. So what can people do to change, to intervene when they see screen time during this pandemic, like getting in their way and, kicking their asses, quite frankly?
I think coming up with creative alternatives that are safe. For example, if let's say you love playing soccer and you can't play soccer right now. So you've gone to playing soccer online. Maybe you're playing FIFA and you're doing that with your friends. I'd say, well, maybe go back a step to when you did play soccer, but let's just do it distanced. That's one of the sports you can still do. Yeah, you can wear a mask while doing it and not full-fledged game, but perhaps doing some long ball passing, some drills, some shooting. You could do a lot of stuff that's distanced and can be completely safe in doing it. And that way you're physically with your friends. You can talk to them. You can see them. You can, give them an air high five, I guess.
I've seen people riding bikes, apart, like on the opposite side of the street from one another.
Yeah. So finding what did I do before that I enjoyed, that maybe I've been letting the technology take over. Can I do that safely? So or looking back on previously loved activities or hobbies and just reimagining them to do it in a safe way. Like you said with bike riding, that's another great example.
Yeah. It's funny, I did a little video on COVID and sex and dating and sex issues. And I was saying, like, go have phone sex like we used to have in the old days.
Yes.
So Boonie, what do you think? What can people do to change, to intervene,
I want to actually talk about that.
Yeah.
So in the dating world, I'm actually dating myself too. So it's very interesting, the times of COVID dating.
Yeah.
And I am looking for a wordsmith, someone who is whimsical with language and very creative. So I'm looking for that creative texter. And it is the way for me to kind of connect through the non-visual, other sensory input. Is just let's try to connect, less stimulation, very vulnerable. Words and language, I think, mean a lot to certain people. Like a word can have so much impact.
Yeah.
If someone says the right word to you, man, that's it. They won you over, kind of thing. And it's a great way to practice, like you said, making it simple, going back a little bit. It's important to honor these things. I think it's cool because you can use it as a way to kind of, it's a time stamp for when life used to be more simple, when we didn't have any choice. It was just taken away from us. It wasn't an option. And now we had to be creative with how to connect with people. Oh, I like playlists. You can send people a Spotify playlist. Like this made me think of you, or I made a list of our memories, things that I want to do with you. And so like, it's about thinking about the future too. Like when we get out of this, what do I want to do with you? You can make a bucket list, send each other things about the future. That's really cool too.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Thank you. Thank you both so much. This was excellent. It was so good to speak with you both about this. Where can people who are interested in learning more about you, learning more about your work, find out more about you and reach you?
Yeah, so for me, you can find me at drweissmanpsychology.com, which is Dr. Weissman, psychology.com. And my podcast, CyberSense Power Up Podcast, available iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere you find your podcasting.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What about you, Boonie? Where can people find you?
I have a website called organizedmesses.com, and you can also find me on YouTube and Instagram. Same thing as Organized Messes.
Wonderful. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Don't forget to check us out on betmeadate.com to help you meet all your dating goals. Like, subscribe, and check out more of our dating videos on helping you overcome your dating challenges on Bet Me a Date.